Hi, welcome to Pretty Hair Fun. My name is Kelly, and today we are going to be doing a beaded braid for the summertime. So let's get started.
So for today's video, the things you're gonna need are some cute beads. We actually have a jewelry kit that we bought off of Amazon. We'll put the link to that in our Facebook, so you guys can look at that too. So we've got some fun beads that Calais has picked out. We have some brown just sewing thread, and then a pair of scissors to cut that off. And then we have a sewing needle, and then just some elastics to tie off the braid. Alrighty, so the first thing we're gonna be doing is simply just to brush out her hair. We wanna make sure that there aren't any snarls anywhere in her hair. I'm just gonna brush it out really quick. So now that her hair is all the way brushed out, I'm going to next part her hair. So Bogies, where do you want your hair parted?
Here.
Right here? Okay, so I'm just gonna use the small end of my comb, and I'm just going to part down her head, and then I'm just gonna separate with my fingers and then comb it down. Can you show them? Now that we've got this part, I'm now gonna part off a small section for her braid. You can do it wherever you want, whether you wanna part it off down here and do one down here. Calais wanted hers just right up here on top. So I'm just gonna take the small part of my comb again, and I'm just gonna part off a small square right here on the top of her head. And you can just go through and comb that out. Go make sure, you wanna make sure that this is a really clean part and you're not getting any other hair in it. And once you have that, I'm gonna have Calais hold this, and I'm actually gonna pull the rest of her hair up and out of the way. All right, so now that I've got her hair back, I'm actually just gonna take a spray bottle and I'm going to wet this piece of hair that we sectioned off, just to make braiding it a little bit easier. I'm just gonna take the comb and comb through it. Now that this section is wet, I'm just gonna part it into 3 sections, and I'm gonna try and make them as even as I can, so that when I'm braiding, and I'm just gonna do a 3-strand braid, when I'm braiding, it'll look nice and uniform. All right, now that I'm getting down to the bottom, I was just going to point out that you want to braid down as far as you possibly can so you don't have a long tail. Now, your braid is going to get really small and really thin, but you want to make sure you get this down as far as you can so your tail is as short as possible. All right, so now that I can't braid anymore, I'm going to take a small elastic, just a small clear elastic, and I'm just gonna tie it off. All right, so what I'm gonna be using to bead her hair is this sewing needle. This actually came in that kit that I talked about earlier, and some brown thread. I chose brown thread because, as you can see, you won't be able to see it against her hair, so the focus will be mainly on the beads and her braid as opposed to what's holding them in there. So what I've gone ahead and done is I cut a strand that is just a little bit longer than her braid, and I've threaded it through the needle, and I actually tied a knot right here to hold the thread to the needle. That way when I'm sewing it through her hair, the thread isn't gonna come out of it, and so you don't lose it inside of her hair. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this needle and thread, and I'm going to thread it through the very top of this braid, so right here. And I'm just gonna thread it through a little strand of hair. I'm just gonna pull it through, and I'm going to tie it off up here. So I'm gonna pull it all the way up. And I'm gonna have Calais hold this. Can you hold this for me, folks? Okay. And I'm going to take the thread like this, and I'm just gonna tie it off, and I'm just gonna do a quick square knot. And I'm just gonna tie it tight, just so it's up there at the very top. And this will just be the base for all of the beading. Just tie it there. And so it's sitting up here, and we'll cut this off at the end. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the first bead that Calais wanted, and I made sure to have her pick beads that had a larger hole on them so that I could make sure I could get the needle and this knot through. So I'm just gonna thread it through, maybe, thread it through, and I'm just gonna pull it up to where this is. And then I'm just gonna take this, and I'm gonna thread it back down into her hair and back out the other side. And I'm gonna pull the thread through, and then I'll just pull the bead tight to her hair. Just like that. And then I'm going to, that's not hair books, that's the thread thing. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna thread it back through and pull it all the way through again. Just like that. And I'm just gonna go down just a couple stitches to the other side of the braid. And I'm gonna grab my next bead. So I've got this cute little square bead. I'm just gonna thread it through and do the exact same thing. I'm just gonna pull the thread through and pull it tight against her braid. And then I'm just gonna take this and thread it back through to the other side, pulling it tight so that the bead is tight against her braid. And then you're just gonna repeat that all the way down. You're just gonna take your needle, thread it through, pull it tight, thread it through to the other side, grab your next bead, which for Calais is this cute little oval one. Stick it in her hair, thread it through, avoid stabbing yourself in the finger with the needle. And just continue threading the beads into her hair. One thing you want to make sure that you are being aware of too is make sure that your head that you're doing this on doesn't move, because we don't want people getting stabbed in the head with a needle, obviously. But you're just going to continue all the way down. All right, now that I've got this beaded all the way down to the bottom, I'm just gonna take the needle and I'm gonna thread it through the elastic down here to go out into the tail. I'm just gonna pull the thread through. And because the tail is so long, I wanna take a couple extra beads just to kind of, I guess, hide in there. So I'm just gonna do, again, I'm just gonna thread some beads through, but I'm just gonna do a few, and I'm just gonna stack them up. I'm just gonna take the next few beads that were in her pattern, and I'm just gonna thread them down onto the needle. And I'm just gonna do like 3. So now that I've got these beads down here onto the tail, I'm just going to thread back up through the elastic from where I came, just like that. And I'm just gonna pull it through, just so that she's got some beads hanging down out of the elastic. And I'm gonna do it one more time on the other side. So I'm going to go back through the elastic, just like that. I'm just gonna pull my string through. I'm gonna thread 3 beads onto here. So I just did those the next 3. And I'm just going to slide it back up into the elastic. All right, now that I've got these 6 beads right here at the base, I'm just gonna thread it back through her braid, and I'm going to tie it off. So I went and tied it off up here, and I'm just gonna take this tail and I'm just gonna pull it up tight so that it lays down flat underneath these beads. And then that's all you have to do to bead a braid.
And that is the finished look for our summertime beaded braid.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here and watch more videos. Make sure to send us fun pics of what you do in the summertime down below. And thanks for watching. Bye!